change really happens when we stop performing and we start just telling the truth about ourselves.
We're always becoming.
Welcome to the After Chapter podcast. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Cecilia. We explore who you are when the roles fall away.
And pour into what's next, one conversation at a time. Hello.
Hey, welcome to the After Chapter podcast. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Cecilia.
You are bright today.
It's a bright day today. It's a bright day. This is an exciting episode today.
You know I love that word.
I'm excited that we have reached this moment.
This is a milestone.
Yeah.
For us to get to this chapter in the after chapter.
That's right.
See what I did there? See what I did there?
Yeah. This is the season finale of season one, which is the unraveling. So yeah, this is very exciting. So 12 episodes ago, we opened the season with the question, who are you when the roles fall away? We did not answer it then, and we're really not sure if we can answer it today, but something has shifted. Across 12 conversations, something got named that most of us had been carrying without language for.
So this finale is for anyone who sat with this season and found themselves somewhere in it. Anyone who is in mid-transition or on the other side of one, or just beginning to ask, who are they without the title, without the role, without the plan? And so we're not going to wrap this up neatly because identity work is never neat. What we're going to do is say out loud what we now believe, what we've learned. And we're going to raise a glass to the clarity that we found. And even where it's partial, and even where some aspects are still missing.
So this is going to be the Manifesto toast, and it does belong to all of us.
Okay. So before we go deep, let's talk about the pour.
Yes. So it is a celebration, as we said in the beginning. So we are having a champagne, specifically that we're pouring a Roederer Collection 245. So it's precise, it's layered, it rises, because clarity, even partial clarity, deserves a toast.
Okay.
So we didn't come here with answers, as you said. We came here, and we've come here really learning about better questions. And that's what this season gave us. So, and that's enough to raise a glass for a toast.
I agree with that, and will gladly meet you in the glass, my friend. So cheers.
Cheers to our first season.
First season. So thank all of you who've been here.
Right. So before we get into what we believe, as Cecilia had said, we want to go back to the people who helped us get here. So we're each going to share and reminisce about our 10 guests that we've had. Because that's honestly all it takes when someone really cracks something open. So going one sentence at a time, one person at a time around our season one.
Yeah. So I'll start with Felicia Scott, who taught us that an empty calendar is a mirror.
Rose Starum showed us that waiting done with intention is its own form of work.
Tom Christopherson sat with us in the disorientation of identity without a label.
Shantae Reed reminded us that not every transition begins with a crisis. Sometimes it begins with honesty.
And Allison Barnes exposed how many of our must-have were actually someone else's should-haves.
Melissa Finney showed us what it looks like to love something and still tell the truth about what it can hold.
And Sylvia Goldman asked us to consider that our discomfort With rest isn't personal, it's centuries old.
Chris Stratner reminded us that a pivot is not quitting, it's refining.
Carrie Thomas asked us, who were we before the edits?
And Sybil Amuti showed us that the rooms that we occupy shape the self we're allowed to become.
I like it. Very good. And so I would thank them, and we'll thank them at the end, of course. But as you started in the beginning, over the course of this season, we kept coming back to the same question in different forms. What do we actually believe now that we've sat with this? And so we've given this a lot of thought, and these are not conclusions, right? They're convictions, the ones that we're willing to say out loud, knowing that they'll keep evolving. So, Michelle.
Yeah. So we thought about this question about things we've come now to believe, and because of this season, asking better questions and the wonderful guests that we have. And for me, it has been about how your identity is not your role. It's the part of you that remains when that role ends. I also learned about waiting is not a waste of time. It's that place where real life happens and we have to confront who we really are. And that can be daunting. Reinvention doesn't begin with a blueprint. So there is no, plan and tips and this is how we resolve whatever the need is because of the pivot that you have in your life. That change really happens when we stop performing and we start just telling the truth about ourselves. And one of the last things I learned was that your next chapter is not a loud aha moment. The next chapter is something that you decide to author. It's in your hands.
I like that. Okay. And so for me, a few of the things that I've learned is that title shift, identity adjust, but who you are remains at your core. And like you, I would also agree that waiting is not empty time, right? And some of the most important transformation happens in the quiet seasons when nothing is outwardly happening. It's almost like a plant, right? And so you think that nothing is happening because you don't see anything, but underneath the surface, a lot is happening. What I appreciate also is that the end of the chapter is never a complete and neat experience. Identity doesn't dissolve or shift all at once. It happens slowly and gradually over time. And my last point, I think, for me is we're always becoming.
So this next part of our thinking and looking back at the season one, we didn't over-rehearse. We didn't really rehearse it because honest answer to what actually shifted for each of us, it's really something that we can't script. So we're just going to say it around our own personal reckoning around things that we came in even before episode 1. Just the thought of this podcast came in believing of what it would be versus the reality of what we're taking with us. And so for me, I came in believing that the podcast was going to help people figure out what comes next. And I'm leaving the season believing that real world is helping people understand who they are before they decide what comes next.
Okay. I would agree with that. And I would add that I came in with the belief that identity shifts occur at the end of a chapter, at the end of something, at the intersection of the pivot. And now I'm leaving with the realization that we are quietly shifting all of the time.
Yeah. One of the things now that I'm you're saying this, I came up really thinking about it today, and just thinking back about all the people that have shown up and we've spoken to. One of the things also that, not necessarily that I came in believing one versus and leaving the season with something else, but I also was thinking about some of the through line, the thread around our guests. And what stood out was my aha moment was that there's ritual with most of the guests. And what I mean by a ritual is that I think that everyone has something that they do, that they expect, that it could be really mundane, but it grounds you. Whether that's my ritual, some guests were, I journal. Some guests said they journal audibly. Some guests said their ritual is I wake up and I open my windows. I open my door and let out the old, bring in to ask for something new to come in. And I was thinking about that through line, that most of our guests have a ritual, and how important that is. Whether I thought about it as you're retiring, the ritual is really important because you need to have that, because so much of what you did and equated to who you are. And so you need to have something to help to ground you. And I even think about it for myself. I have a ritual, and again, really mundane, but I have to grind my own coffee. I have to have coffee, put my protein powder in it, and just sit. And honestly, even when I'm away, I miss it. I actually miss it.
Yeah.
Because that is something that I do every single day, and I look forward to it. And it does ground me. So I think when you sit and I think about it, there's some ritual everyone has, whether that you get up, you go for a walk, you go for a run, you do something, you walk your dog, but you have a ritual. You unload your dishwasher.
Right.
There's a ritual. And I think that's something that we don't think about, but it's really important.
Yeah.
It's really important.
No, I appreciate that. And I also, this is truly a full circle moment, because my ritual occurs at the end of the day. I have my beginning, of course. I'd like to start my day in prayer and being mindful. And so I've taken to having a gratitude journal. And so I try to get those thoughts. Even if I don't write it down in that moment, I think about it and then I write it down later, but I try to do that. But my other ritual is at the end of the day, no matter what, no matter how tired I am, I must knit a few rows. Right? There's something about the meditative Zen motion for me of knitting that allows me, and you would think, oh, you're knitting, so aren't you putting the tension of your day, the stress of your day in that object? And I'm not. It actually allows me to sit and be thoughtful, be reflective about the day that has ended, and think about the day that is coming forward. And it's so funny. The one thing that I talk about with my knitting, when both my mother and my grandmother passed away, I was at a point where I couldn't read, and I'm a big reader. And back then I wasn't doing like audiobooks. I was doing physical books, and I found that I couldn't read, but I found that I could knit. And so for me, the knitting, it's how I overcame my fear of flying. Right. And so for me, the knitting is the thing that if I ever had to get on the plane and they took my needles away, Lord help them, because I don't know how I would survive that flight if I didn't have that, because that is part of my
that grounds you.
It grounds me. Yeah. It's my ritual.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, but I woke up this morning thinking about that. Ritual is so important.
Yeah.
And I don't think some people don't think about it.
Yeah. And the other thing that came to mind, I think I realized it in our conversation, maybe it was in the middle with Sylvia. We weren't quite through all the end of the episodes yet. And Sylvia, as she was talking, it dawned on me that each one of our guests, and even though we didn't do a lot, we set the framework in episode 1 of the why, and we talked a little bit about some of the things that happen at that particular, when various pivots or ends happen in your life. We talked about, the hobbies and community, and each one of our guests have talked about something that we touched upon in episode 1, or they've also reinforced something that another guest said.
Right.
And so I appreciate, and here we have 10 people who've never met each other.
Yeah.
But they all were in alignment. When Sylvia started talking about hobbies and community, and Tom talked about having a community, and Melissa talked about community, and Sybil talked about community. I'm like, there's a theme here.
Yeah. Tom talked about auditing his energy.
Auditing his energy. Sybil talked about auditing as well.
Yeah.
Her daily audit. So I'm sitting back, hindsight, right? Like at this point, to be able to look back and see the threads, see the breadcrumbs.
That's the breadcrumbs.
I'll drink to that. See the breadcrumbs. You're right. There was a trail.
Yes.
And so I think as our listeners, really important. One, thankful if you've been here from the beginning and you continue to stay, and it doesn't matter when you started to listen to us, we thank you. If you listened to a couple of episodes, or if this is your first episode, thank you for being here. But really, as you've been listening to these conversations, if you've been sitting with any of these questions during this season about who you are without the title, without the role, without the plan, this toast is for you. Not because you have the answers, but because you are willing to ask the questions and to sit with it. And I think that's the hardest part, right? It's uncomfortable. And we talked about unraveling. Unraveling is never, and again, I'm going to go back to knitting. Unraveling.
Of course you are.
You knew the knitting was
Of course you are.
Knitting is a metaphor for life.
Okay.
Michelle Obama said it, so it must be true.
Wine is for me.
Well, there you go. Whatever your metaphor for life, wine is messy as well, right? Like making wine, but something beautiful comes with it. But,
absolutely.
And so I do wanted to just take a moment and raise our glass.
Yes, let's raise a glass to our listeners.
To our listeners.
So to you.
To you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, in thinking back on our episodes, we've ended with our guests with the 3-word ritual.
Dun, dun, dun. That's 3 words.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
So now we've always asked our guests, but we never really participated in what are our 3 words. So we've had some time clearly from hearing our 10 guests and as well as now this moment to really think about it. So it has not been sprung on us as it has been for many of our guests who did not know that this was a part of our ritual. And so for us today, we want to share with you, our listeners, our 3 words. So again, the question to remind, if this is the first time you're listening, we usually we always end our episodes with our guests asking them, if you had to introduce yourself to someone in 3 words where you could not talk about your professional title or your family title, how would you introduce yourself? So, hi, I am Michelle, and I am. So I did think about it. And you know what was really interesting, and clearly given that we had a lot of time to reflect around this, there is, for me, I realize, and I was even speaking with a cousin of mine around that there is a through line for me around teaching. I mean, I joked about the wine, but that's a big part of my life. Not that I'm, all I do is drink wine. That's not what I'm referencing. I mean, I do drink a lot of wine, but I do. But no, but when I really started my wine journey, a very good friend of mine is the one who saw the inquisitiveness of me around the wine and then reached out to the somm who was there, asked him to speak to me about, I'm here to drink, she said, but she clearly here wants to learn. So what was your journey? And the month after, I started going to school and learning about viticulture. And so my journey around that inquisitiveness about really learning and is around teaching, because I then now have learned about wine, whereby I see myself as that teacher. And it's around wine. It's around my love of travel. I like to travel where I'm learning something. I mean, it's fine. I can sit at a beach, but that's not my favorite vacation. My favorite vacation is to go somewhere where I get to actually learn. I learn about the history. I learn about the culture. Even if it's food, I'm now taking a food tour where someone who knows more is going to teach me, and I learn about it so I can do teach someone else. So teacher is one of my words to describe myself. Host. I love clearly hosting conversations with this. I love hosting people over at my home. And hosting that experience, hosting the conversation. And my third word is around explorer. So I love really exploring the things I just talked about, the travel, the wine, the food, the culture. I love exploring it because I think as part of it is about the teaching, it's about the hosting. And so the exploring helps me to do the things that I love. So I love creating spaces where people can think more deeply about who they are and where they're going next. So that's how I would introduce myself.
I'm smiling big because we didn't share these words previously. And of course, we are friends.
Yeah.
Kind
of.
Yeah. We're friends. She can't leave me. But, your words could all in some way be my words, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are also things that we enjoy doing, which is why, and my husband is my, favorite travel friend outside of Michelle. So Michelle and I would travel.
I was going to say, what?
I know, I have to.
What?
My husband is my favorite travel person, then Michelle. But no, because we are so in sync. And I think, and maybe that, I don't know if our friendship, if the sisterhood, if the love, has really had a chance to be showcased, because we really wanted to showcase our guests. But in this moment, as I'm listening to you speak, I'm like, that's me too. That's me too. Yes, me too. But I have my own words.
Yes.
And my words are different from yours, but they're the same.
Okay.
And so my words, and I'll tell my words and then I'll explain why. So my word is global.
Okay.
I would describe myself as global, facilitative, and inquisitive. So those are my three words. And so global, because I say that I'm a citizen of the world. I feel at home in so many spaces and places, and I appreciate having a cultural competence, right? Like I listen for nuance and for context. And whenever I travel, whether it's with you or my husband or my daughter, I want to do things to appreciate the culture.
Yeah.
And so, yes, like if I'm going to go to this country, I want to, yes, I'll do a few of the tour things you must do, right? Because if I'm going to go there, I should see that. But then I want to go deeper. Right. I want to know a little bit more of the history. I want to understand. And I want to also have that alignment of what I learned before coming and now what I'm having this experience. And so that global.
I'm going to just add on to that. I think where we also align and agree is that, yes, as you said, I'll see the things that need to be seen, but you don't, not to just say, oh, I saw whatever, name the monument.
The Vatican,
yes.
Right?
You don't, I feel like it's such a disservice to just say, oh, I went in. No,
I want to do a tour.
I need to speak to a expert
yes.
who is now going to tell me not just that I saw it with my eyes, but I have no idea exactly what I'm looking at.
No, I do think that's important.
I think it's
and
so
that's
important.
Where we are aligned. So yes, that piece. Facilitative, because I naturally create space for learning, for conversations. If we go to dinner, I want to have conversations, just not table conversations. My husband and I we'll go to dinner. We'll have like questions, right? Like, let's go deeper. Let's let this. What's something that I don't know about you? Mm-hmm. Like, there's always something to learn. And what's important to me is I really want to move conversations from surface to really deep. So you can tell me that you think this, but why do you think this? Did you always think this? Was this something that was taught? Is this something that you came up on your own? And so I really love to have meaningful conversations,
Not surface.
and not surface, and facilitate those spaces and opportunities, which leads to me being inquisitive. And I think about, things that were written on my report card. And I don't know if kids still get that, but like where the teachers write stuff, right? Like she talks so much.
I was going to say, did they write that for you?
Talks so much. She won't stop talking. And so that talking, that being inquisitive, that wanting to know, I think I'm endlessly curious. Like I can sit, and why I love going to different parts of the world where and I'm going to pick on France, Paris specifically as one of my favorite places, right? One of my favorite things to do, and I love traveling with you and my husband, but I love traveling alone. I love a table for one. Yes, I'm an only child. I love a table for one, and I love that the cafes are faced outward. Yeah. That they're not just faced in, so I'm looking at you. Like I'm sitting side by side and we're seeing the people. Yeah. And I'm like, wonder where they're going. I wonder what this woman, she has, bread in her, and she has flowers, and she looks like she's going to be hosting. I wonder who's coming over. Like, I always wonder.
Or when you're just looking, even here in New York,
I want to know the people's stories.
Looking in the windows. You also
I'm such a voyeur. I'm
it's like, what's their life like?
I am that person. So if your window is open and it's dusk and your light is on, I'm looking inside. I would look at that bookshelf, look at that table. Look, I'm so fascinated by what's happening on the other side of someone's life. And so it shows up. I mean, I have so many traits where these things, and it took me a minute to think about my 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm nothing if not consistent.
Yeah.
And so
we'll follow up with each other.
This is the part where it's like, okay,
yes, we're interviewing each other.
So Michelle,
yes,
of your 3 words,
tell me,
which do you feel is anchored in this moment?
In this moment, it's the word that's anchored the most is teacher. Yeah,
it's more.
Teacher. Because I think I would say that specifically around this podcast, which has, it is such a passion for me, that I want to make sure that it provides our listeners with experiences, information that helps them to ask themselves better questions. So it's teacher because I want to make sure that we are curating the guests, the experience, to provide that to people, to the poors, whatever it is, that there's something for everyone, that everyone can learn something.
I appreciate that. And I will acknowledge, I have to tell you, and, while we're both 2 type A individuals, we are, to be honest, and I'm also a Virgo, so capital Roman script A, giant A. What I've appreciated about how you have showed up in this moment in the poor, I've learned something with each and every pour. Like you've expanded my palate and my appreciation. And when I'm not with you and people like, pick the wine, I'm like, what would my cork master pick? And I think there are a couple times where I text her.
I was going to say, and
there are a couple of times where I text her when I'm like, here's the wine list.
Sends me pictures of the wine.
Tell me which wine I should pick. And so now you're blowing my cover. But no, I have been trained by the cork master, so I can pick wine on my own. But I appreciate how you have really leaned into the pour. And I know that I've heard from people like, I mean, even the first episode, like, what was that? What the champagne that you shared? Like, what was that? Like, tell me about that. And so you are doing that through this moment. So thank you.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
That's okay.
And Cecilia.
Yes.
Guest number 12.
Yes.
You mentioned that your 3 words were global, inquisitive, and facilitator.
Yes.
So with those three in this season that you're in, which of those three words resonate most with you?
Yeah, for me, it's being inquisitive, right? And so trying to find more questions.
Mm-hmm.
What's the right question that will lead to another question and expose and learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I think in this season, while I have my own questions, I'm definitely in a season of questioning. And I do want to just take a moment and say something that if in case you did watch episode 1, our premiere, and you're here now, I did not do a good job of talking about like where I am in my life, in my career. Like
I know what you're
said,
about to
you
say.
know exactly what I'm about to say, right? I said I have less years in front of me than behind me. I said at most maybe 10. One of our friends was like, is she okay? Like, is she making the statement? And so what I was talking about, like classic working years, right? Like 9 to 5,
Yeah.
going in my
Yeah.
corporate role. And I'm not giving my notice now. So in case someone from my company is listening, I'm not quitting. But the reality is I'm probably not going to be working in the same manner that I am working in the next 10 years. And so I've been really curious about myself.
Yeah.
What am I like? What do I need that will sustain me? And what do I like to do? And all the things, and just looking at where do we need to live? Do we need to live in New York? Do we live here? Do we split our time? There's so many. I have more questions than answers in this moment, and so this season is this, I think there's a quote that says like some years are questions and some years are answers. That can also be true of seasons. There are some seasons that are questions,
Yeah.
and some seasons that will bring forth the answers.
Right. And yeah, we need the questions in order to get to the answer anyway. So I think that's great for us to, all of us, to really just sit in the question and just continue to ask better questions to bring us to the answers that we need, so we can have a more purposeful, feel valued, feel however it is that you define what good, happy is for you to feel.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and also not be tied to that. This is not a test, right? It's not science. So the answer that you come up with right now might not be the answer that fits.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think about, we talked about our losing members of our family, like that loss and illness and life and will shift your answer. Right. So if your answer was me and my husband, we're going to be doing this, and something should happen and your husband is sick, or you lose your husband, there's a whole new set of questions that you have to ask. And so just being comfortable with the becoming,
Right.
I may now need to shift. Right. And so I need to figure out who I am. And so the thing I always say is, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So be ready for whatever. And if at that point I need to sit, and I'm not saying me or whoever, but be okay with, I might need to rethink this.
Right. And maybe, it's not you're okay, but
we're figuring it out.
But it's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
That's all. Nothing
Insurance.
in life is a guarantee.
Insurance.
That's all.
I'm just going to prepare.
Yeah. So, as we mentioned, season 1 was about that unraveling.
Mm-hmm.
We sat in the gap. We named the void. Some people said it was grief.
A lot of people said it was grief.
And we didn't rush past it. We really allowed ourselves to just sit in this unraveling of just not knowing what's next and trying to fix it. And honestly, we didn't know when we started how many things really would come up for us, for the people we talked to, and to you, our listeners. And these were all done for you. So, season 2, we're, continuing on this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 is about the reconstruction. So we're going to start building, again, not, okay, we're done tying it up in a bow. We're just starting to build not from certainty, as we just said, as you had just alluded to, because nothing in life is guaranteed. So there is no certainty, but we're going to start building. But from what we now know, that season 2 will be in September, and we really can't wait. But hold on. That doesn't mean from now until September, there's nothing. So these next few weeks are what we're going to call the in-between episodes. So what that means is these are going to be shorter conversations, about 20 minutes or so, where it'll, again, be just the two of us, no guests until we start season 2. So no guests for the next couple of weeks. And think of them as that exhale after a season of unraveling. And that asked a lot of questions. So we're going to sit with some of what came up for us, and probably for you as well, before we start to build anything new. No agenda, no answers, just questions, better questions that we're carrying. And so we'll continue to be here launching new episodes every Tuesday throughout the summer. And if you're someone who doesn't just want to listen, but wants to actually do this work alongside others, we are building a space for that as well. It's going to be a place for others who are in this unraveling, in this gap too. So we're not really ready yet to tell you everything yet. We have to have some kind of anticipation.
Teaser.
But we will be soon. So please stay tuned, stay close, continue listening.
Yes. And so before we close, there are definitely some people that we want to acknowledge. I feel like a few months ago, the Oscars. Right?
I was just going to say,
don't play me off.
This is very Oscar-like.
It's very Oscar-like. I'm going to hold my word.
Can we have the music?
Not play
Cue
me
the
off.
music.
So, I want to definitely thank Limitless Visions for capturing us. And so our headshots, our faces, the visual identity of the show, you brought care and attention to that work, and it definitely shows.
And just to also...
I was going to say...
Oh my God, get out of my head.
Melissa,
okay, go ahead. Yes.
Melissa for our logo.
Yes.
So thank you to Melissa for doing our logo. We don't have the glasses that have our logo now, but we love our logo. And so thank you. I way ahead of you. And then, we have, it's important to have a village who supports and encourages and challenges and critiques us. And so, we call them our advisory council. And so this is a group of people that we hand selected because we trusted their judgment and wanted their honesty. And we knew they wouldn't just say, oh, this is perfect, this is so good. They would say, have you thought about this? And have you looked at this? And they've been very important. And they've weighed in on everything from our mission, from our logo to our episodes. Even when we don't ask them, we get a text with their feedback, as well as giving us some ideas on who we should be talking to next. And have you thought about taking it in this direction? And they didn't just cheer us on, as I said, they pushed us to be sharper. And so the show is better because of them. And we're grateful.
Yeah, we are. Very much.
And I would be remiss if I didn't do a special shout out to my husband, who is not an official member of our advisory council, but is an official member. He, we take the train in on Tuesdays, and I go to talk to him, and he's like, I'm listening to my podcast. And then he follows it up with a text.
Yes.
And so we get a text with all his feedback.
We get a text every week
Tuesday
with his feedback, and it is very pointed.
It is.
Yes, feedback around everything. Everything.
And it's so funny. I just had a visual as I'm talking about the input and also the guests.
Yes, of
right?
course.
Not the guests. I'm sorry. The listeners. The
yes,
guests and the listeners.
Yes,
so we've gotten some
yes.
feedback from the listeners that shaped a few of our episodes.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm interested in that. Can we talk more about that? And we have so much to sit with as we think about the reconstructing based on the feedback. And what I didn't realize, and I realize it now in this moment, is even as you look at our logo, right, the after chapter, the road is windy.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a straight road.
That's right.
And so you start off here and then you follow the curves. And that's really when I think about our first conversation about have you thought about a podcast? We should do a podcast. These are the conversations that we're having. Others are probably I'm having it as well. Even from that point to where we are now, it's been like this. It's been an evolution that's gotten us to this part. And so I'm thankful for you, Michelle,
Oh.
for Michelle's become really good at social media. I'm really impressed. Like, how'd you do that? Like, I'm appreciative of your learning.
Yes. See, I was going to say.
Yes, it's in alignment. I'm appreciative of your learning. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to.
Yes, for the next few weeks. I was just going to say, I wanted to also, as you were thanking the listeners and talking about the feedback that we've in commentary that we've got, please continue to do so on whatever platform you're listening on. We do read those comments. We do respond to you, and we do appreciate what you are sharing with us. So please continue to not just listen and share and follow, as we always say, but also give us your feedback. Give us some commentary. Let us know what you'd like to hear or what you'd like us to double click on, because you are the listener. We're doing this for you, and so we always have ideas, but we want to make sure that you keep coming back. So for sure, thank you, and continue to listen, and please continue to provide us with your comments. And thank you to Cecilia for a wonderful season 1, for being so inquisitive and asking the next question, not just the ones you want to know about, but perhaps the ones that listeners that would really want to hear about and learn and try to understand more, so they can ask better questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. So with that, we'll just remind people that we plan for the money. We didn't plan for the meaning, but we're starting to.
Yeah.
And so from the after chapter, we'll see you in the next chapter.
Cheers, everyone.
Yay.
Yay. Thanks for spending time with us on the After Chapter podcast.
Like, follow, subscribe, and share. Until next time, pause, take a sip, and stay with what's unfolding.
Oh, one more thing. Here comes the legal part. Our lawyers will be really happy we said this. The After Chapter podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We are 2 women pouring into this conversation with you. We are not licensed therapists, and nothing you hear on this show is intended to replace the advice of a physician, therapist, professional coach, or any other qualified professional. If you're in a season that calls for deeper support, please reach out to a professional, and know that reaching out is one of the bravest things you can do.